Good morning, Brad Washa, one of the ops section chiefs with the Alaska Incident Management Team on the Aspen Acres fire. It is the 14th of July. Today is actually our last day, so we will be shadowing with the Northern Rockies team today, and then tomorrow they will be taking over this fire. I always look at fire at this point in time in the fire and kind of look back as far as what impact we had and did we leave this place a better place? And I don't know if I can say that with this fire. I mean, there's nearly 900 structures that were lost. And a lot of times we come into an incident and it's on people's worst day. And even that, though, I do look at it and I think we've had a lot of wins. We were able to save a lot of structures. We've largely contained the fire on the east side and continuing to work on it on the west side. And we're starting to get areas repopulated. So I think we're having some wins. But again, I don't know if I can say that we've left this place a better place in regards to the loss that has occurred on the fire. I've talked a lot about forest health and some of those concerns. So I want to kind of hit on that. Not necessarily a fire ecology lecture, but maybe it is. When we look at the wet mountains, fire has played a major role in those wet mountains for decades. And those mountains have evolved because of fire. We have fire-dependent ecosystems, everything from in the lower reaches, where I've talked about having shared responsibility if you live in those ponderosa pine communities. Those ponderosa pine communities typically would have fire every 5 to 25 years, and that has not happened. We've excluded fire, both suppressing natural ignitions and also those fires that occurred by Native Americans no longer exist. And what we see there is a lot of encroachment by white fir and other species in the understory that would have otherwise been cleared out. And what we're basically doing in the areas around Rye is in a sense, mimicking or being a surrogate of fire and going in there and thinning out some of those areas so that when fire does come through, it's not going to get out in the canopies. You look a little higher up on the slope and you see aspen communities. Those too are being encroached by mixed conifer, and those communities, those aspen that one time we would have kind of checked fire are burning. So that's a concern we have. And again, if fire was playing its natural role, that mixed conifer wouldn't be in the understory of those aspen. And aspen has a unique adaptation for fire. The tops will be killed, but they've put a lot of energy in their roots, and those roots are able to come back after fire. And then we look at the top of the White Mountain or the wet mountains, and that's a mixed conifer, subalpine fir, Engelmann spruce, white fir, and those areas have been hit really hard by beetle kill. And that one is kind of a mixed severity fire regime. You get really low intensity fire where you can't really get fire to spread, or you get high intensity crown fire. And that area with the lack of fire and kind of cleaning things up here and there and kind of pockets of fire has had some major forest health issues as far as bug kill. That's in part because of climate change, and we're seeing some of those effects as far as very low snowpack this year. And with not getting those cold winters, those bugs are able to overwinter and come back. So just a couple things as far as why we're seeing some of the issues we are on the fire because we've removed fire. And that's not to say with this fire, it's been a full suppression fire. We are not trying to manage this fire. They're still doing investigations, but it's believed that this fire was human caused. So suppression has been the game, and we've put all of our energy into the front of the fire, the east side, where those high values at risk are and where the homes are. But and now working on that east side or the west side where there's a little less values at risk going on to the forest. So for today, our weather is going to look fairly similar to yesterday. RH is in the 15 to 25%. And, we have seen yesterday as far as fire behavior with those same sort of conditions and the easterly flow. We saw the fire start looking like it was going to be more active early in the day. Then it kind of settled down midday, and then it picked up into the evening. Our night operations that were out there, they were able to do some burnouts, but they were pushed by fire for a little while, and they thought they were going to have some problems. It did settle down later into the evening, and but we do anticipate, we have those 3 areas of heat on the fire that we're looking at. This area here, again, we've referred to this as the bunny ears or rabbit's foot or chicken foot, turkey foot. This continues to be a concern, and this was putting up some heat yesterday. We have been working on trying a mill set drainage, the trail, putting in dozer line. They don't quite have the dozer line connected, and if they cannot connect that, they will be putting some hand line, but that has been a major concern, and this is why rye has not been populated south of the 165 road, just because this does still have potential to get out. We are putting every effort that we can to hold this here, but we want to have an option, and that's why we've put a lot of energy into this dozer line and then doing fuel treatments along here. And again, appreciate everybody calling in or sending a message to the email of interest in doing work on your property if you're along that dozer line. So this is a concern. We have seen infrared showing a little bit more heat in this area, and we do have a little bit of concern of the fire also having the potential of coming back, and there might be a little bit of checking action in here as far as burning out today, just to kind of get things in alignment so that we don't have a chance of fire coming back on the Lake Isabel area. The other area we continue to see fire is coming off of the St. Charles Peak area, and it has spotted down. We have been trying to put in some line using the 360, 369 road and hold it in check. We'll have to see. We have been getting spots that have been coming close to that line. We haven't so far been able to keep up with them, but another area of concern. And then we have our Division Foxtrot up just north of Bishop Castle, sorry, and the Mangus Ranch. This area, they've been trying to burn out and connect to the dozer line, having some good success, but again, having some spots that they're having to deal with. And I wouldn't say it's problematic, but we would like to try to get this buttoned up before we leave. I don't know if that will happen during our tenure here or not. As we move up to the north part of the fire, really feeling good. We keep putting in a little bit more line as far as containment on the fire up there. And then coming on the east end, we don't plan on closing off this area. There isn't line in place. The fire's kind of hung up in junipers and holding there. There's heat there. We have fire resources in there, but we're not actually going to put line in here. That being said, this area is being repopulated, and along with Beulah, that started happening yesterday. So we're repopulating areas, but also keep in mind that we do have firefighters out there, so please take it slow on the roads. And I have talked about, if you have gates, please don't lock those, because we have had firefighters getting stuck behind them. Coming out on the far east, really feeling good about this. I think they had a little 20 by 20 area that torched out yesterday in here. So we do still have fire resources in here, but still feeling really comfortable about that. And today, as far as the forecast, again, not seeing, there's like a 5% chance of lightning. So, you know, it'd be one of those rogue thunderstorms, not anticipating weather to be a major factor, not seeing high winds. RHs are going to be down a little bit. But with that, I just want to close with probably no one in this group knows, other than Sam, who Phil Esterhaus is, but Hill Street Blues, he was a sergeant on Hill Street Blues, and at the end of his briefing, he'd always say, be careful out there. So both if you're going into the fire area and repopulating, be careful, and I always say that to both the firefighters and students when they finish up their field exercise. So be careful out there, and thanks a lot.